Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man. Today we're looking at a JANOME new home, and it's the model DC2014. The reason we're looking at this one, it came in because it needed service. The lady does some sewing. It was packed with some stuff. I don't know how long she's had it, but this is one of the ones I think came from the factory without being oiled, or it's set forever without being serviced, and it dried up. I don't know what the deal is, but a lot of times I get these and the oiling wicks in them are dry as a bone. Now, the oiling wicks are located in various and sundry places. This one has an oiling wick like most of the new drop-ins with the plastic bobbin with the magnet. They have the oiling wick in the center, and of course that gets oiled there in the center inside the magnet. The magnet is there, of course, to keep the bobbin case from jumping up. Now, this JANOME has a better bobbin case than I showed you in those Singer heavy duties that are just wafer thin. This one's got some substance to it, and it's mounted in here in a different way, a little bit more secure, that keeps it from jumping out if you misthread it or the oversized thread grabs it and turns it. So this doesn't have any hits on it. Maybe on the outside, I'm going to polish this up on the outside where it's a little bit rough because it ran without any oil on it. This should have oil on it. Should be oil on the inside ring and oil in the center. Now, the oiling wicks on this particular machine, take this back out so it doesn't fall out. It has oiling wicks down underneath at each end. Let me crank this baby down so you can see what I'm talking about. At each end of this main drive shaft, the hook driving shaft here. So you got that's an oiling wick on the side, that white felt. Now, this was as white as this, just about. It was pretty white, and it was dry as a bone. And whenever I see that, I suspect that it came from the factory that way. There's one at the other end of the shaft that I oiled, put this back together, but it was dry as a bone. Now, that oils this bearing here. It gives it a continuous supply. It's an oil reservoir. It's a felt. I find these dry as a bone all the time. On the other end, I find them dry as a bone because when the machine's running, this shaft is turning at a high rate of speed, and it'll lock up, so it needs to be oiled. That, whenever you touch it, you should get shiny finger. Oily, shiny finger every time you touch it, and on the other end. There's one on each end of that shaft. And of course, here's your timing place. Got two screws to set your timing. And of course, like I always tell you, to set the timing, you put it on its left needle swing. As it's rising, the hook should come in above the eye of the needle. So this little guy had a situation with the needle threader hanging up. You put it down like that, and it like that. It wouldn't release, wouldn't go up. So that's a matter of adjusting this screw here and the screw on top so it'll line up and not hang. So it'll come down and flip right back up. Otherwise, it'll hang. And it has a tendency to want to hang, but you have to loosen this screw, the screw on top, and it'll actually come down and come back up. At least it'll move without staying locked in a down position. And of course, I prefer these needle threaders because these little things will pop off. If they get bent, you can pop them off and you can align them. You can actually align your little metal in the center there. You can align it in the center because they will get bent, get quite often bent. You can pop it off, oil it, pop it, or straighten it, pop it back on. So that's why this one came in. Need to be serviced. Oiling wicks were bad, and the needle plate, it wasn't banged up real bad. In the front, it had a couple little dings on it. I'm gonna set the feeders up because they were pushed down. It was all packed in here with lint, and that'll push the feeders down. If you don't keep the feeders in here cleaned out, that'll push against the bottom of the needle plate. You can see the bottom of this needle plate here. You can see how it's shiny right there and there. It's kind of got a little abrasive action going on there. You can catch the shiny, different from this because it's been rubbing against the lint will get packed in the center here, in between. It'll get packed in the center there, and it'll just get as hard as a rock in there, right in between. You got to clean these out, there, and there. You got to clean those slots out. That lint gets packed in there, and it's just as hard as a rock, and it keeps pushing your feeders down. Of course, the feeder adjustment's going to be down underneath here. Going to be adjustment here to set the feeder height. Right there. See that place right there? It's a lock nut on the outside. You loosen that lock nut. It's not going to be real tight. You just loosen it up ever so slightly. like so. Let's see there. You'll notice you unlock it, give it a little slackage, so once you turn your set screw in the up position, it doesn't just lock it back down again. So you spin that baby around a little bit like that, and then you just take your screwdriver and you turn it to the right, and that'll raise those feeders back up so they'll be high enough to feed the fabric. But that's what'll happen when this gets filled up in here. When I say here, I mean there. When that gets filled up, it'll knock those babies down, and then the feeders won't come up high enough. You see now they come up high enough that you can see the teeth on it, so you feed the fabric. So I'll lock my lock nut down there, put it all back together, get it back to the lady tomorrow. She'll be happy. All right, there's a couple little helpful hints for a couple folks who are asking for some advice about this and that. So I get these in, I tell you when I get one in, I'll tell you I got this one in, and I'm telling you. All right, JANOME new home DC2014. A couple little things you got to look out for. Nice little machines. They're electronic, but you know they're JANOME, so they're not too bad. Okay, thanks.